Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Hey there, everybody. It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance card, get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. Speaking of friends, one of my good ones here, one of my rich ones, you know what I mean? Trevor Hillstrom. I'm teasing. Not teasing. How you doing, Trevor? I'm trusting in you this week. Last week we were close. But the problem was you needed what, 250 to be my rich friend? So even if we put up 230, 220, 210, it just wasn't enough.
No, and the problem I was having was, I didn't have the quarterbacks that I needed to have to win. I was paying down a quarterback to get those higher priced players that did well, but I just didn't have enough gusto at the quarterback position. I should have seen, in hindsight's always 2020. You should have seen Stroud would have been up there. I didn't expect Darnold to be his top guy. What did I really screw up on Darnold to go into this season? But it is what it is.
Can I tell you something? And this is what I did last week. It was a problem. I told you Stroud. I mentioned it on Friday Night Lights. I had Sam Darnold too. My problem was when it came time to clicking the button, because I only play 3 lineups, right? I only do a 3 entry. If I did what you do in 150, I promise you I would have had 10 with Stroud and 10 with Sam. But because I'm only doing 3, I just couldn't get. I did a Fields, I did a Herbert, I did a Kyler. They were just easier clicks. And I feel like I got to get past that, Trevor, because I know that you can't run on Tampa. You had to throw on them. They play zone. JSN thrives in zone. It was a marriage made in heaven.
Yeah, I get that, JSN is does really good in zone, but I didn't know there was going to be other players involved. I wasn't expecting the other players to show up as much as they did. So
I didn't expect Buka to be that good either. I mean, every week better and better.
We expect him to be solid, but not to be top 2 receiver, if not the top. I
think you and I know we were talking Sunday morning. We like Jake Browning. Right, we said that we like Chase. We weren't wrong, but those numbers weren't big enough, right? When 250 is winning a tournament, it's not enough. Now, if it's 180, Browning looks like a hero, but not last week.
Nope, not at all. Not last week.
All right, let's get to this week. Let's get to the quarterbacks. I feel like they're really begging us. Baker Mayfield's the most expensive guy on the slate at $6,600. You could get Joe Flacco at $4,000. And then it's super cheap. So you're going to have to pay for the skill players. What's your thoughts on quarterback? I don't hate going with Joe Flacco, by the way, and maybe bringing it back with Josh Jacobs and just saying, you know what? I'll pay $4,000. Maybe Flacco throws for 250 and 2, and I'll figure it out after that.
Well, the big thing about Flacco is who you can get around him to put in there. I mean, you can build your lineup a lot better with Flacco. I do like him somewhat. But I do like Green Bay's defense a lot. I mean, Flacco is going to be seeing a lot of Micah Parsons, in my opinion. But they're going to be playing from behind. I can't imagine them not. So there's going to be garbage time points there for sure. The quarterback situation this week is pretty tough. I mean, I do like Love, but I think Jacobs is going to run some scores in. Stafford's in a great spot against Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore's given up tons of passing yards to everybody. So if you're not paying down, those are the guys I like. But yeah, I think you can go with Flacco, and I kind of like the guy for Gabriel.
Oh, Gabriel's interesting, because Pittsburgh is not so great on defense, right? I feel like it's about finding the cheaper quarterback. Do you like Trevor Lawrence? Do you like Bryce Young? Do you like Rattler? Do you like any of those cheap guys?
I don't really care for Rattler because I think New England's defense is playing a lot better. And Rattler, he got off to such a great start last week. In the second half, the defense kind of took over, and they didn't really need to use him as much. Yeah, I like, Young's playing Dallas. I mean, you could definitely see a shootout type of game there. So there's so many options at quarterback, it's just fitting in the right pieces.
What's frustrating? Last week, Chargers were so good in the first quarter then Herbert does nothing. Kyler Murray couldn't be stopped, and then he basically completed like 2 passes in the second half. It feels like to get a quarterback to give you 4 quarters of good play is not easy to do. You need a game that has back and forth to it. Is there a game on this slate that you're like, you know what? This game's got back and forth.
Do you come back? Does Arizona come back and play a lot better against the Colts this week, or do they come out flat? That's the game, because Jones would be a good DFS player, but there's several games they haven't need him in the second half because they're blowing teams out.
Most games he doesn't play in the second half.
So if they can get into a game where it's a little bit higher scoring in the second half, I like Daniel Jones. But there's really not that. I don't see that one game where maybe Dallas Dak versus Bryce Young, where that game couldn't get high scoring. But
don't you always feel like there's a sucker game? Like I thought the Jets Dallas game, Willie and Odell, I think they weren't wrong. That game was a sucker game. That game became good at the end, right? For 3.5 quarters, the game was unwatchable. And then it got interesting. Do you think Carolina can sometimes really be bad, Trevor? Like bad. And Bryce Young, you invested in him. The dude throws for like 107 yards and 1 touchdown.
Yeah, it is Dallas, though. I'm still not sold on their defense, even though they looked a lot better. They did give up the garbage points, so it was a good they had a big enough lead where they could allow the garbage points. Yeah, Carolina is one of those teams you can't trust them. I'm sure everybody's going to want to come back to Rico Dowdle at running back again this week because he's got a good matchup and he's still not that high a price. But do you trust Carolina? I mean, does he have enough weapons?
No.
He's got the Troy McMillan. Can Dallas take him away? And if they do take him away, who's going to be the guy that steps up? We're going to be relying on Coker and Leggett.
Coker's got his 21-day window open, so he's not even a guarantee to play.
Right, he's not a guarantee to play, so we have to really look at that.
Let me ask you about who do you think the starting quarterback is for San Francisco? Do you think it's Mac Jones? Do you think it's Brock Purdy?
Well, both are bad. Mac Jones, how's he doing? I mean, he had a lot of injuries in that game against the Rams. They didn't think he was going to come. I didn't think he was coming back from that one when he was laying on the ground. I didn't think he was coming back.
No, he's tough.
I really haven't looked a whole lot into who's practicing there so far this week. If Mac Jones is able to play, I would think they would want to play him and give Purdy a little more extra rest because Jones looks good. He made some throws, man. He looked really good. I mean, I mentioned earlier today that on that outplay down by the 5-yard line, there was a guy in his face immediately, and he stuck that pass, and I didn't think he could do it. So he really impressed me.
The reason I bring them up is I think Tampa Bay is the cheat code this year. Their offense never stops, but their defense isn't that good because their defense stops the run, and they're very susceptible to the pass. So if any team can throw, i.e. Sam Darnold last week, you find the one receiver. Maybe it's Kendrick Bourne. Maybe it's Jennings. It's not going to be Pierce, who I don't think plays. It's not going to be Kittle. Maybe it's Jake. I mean, it's definitely McCaffrey. But you get a couple of pieces in there, and you watch that game explode.
Yeah, every time you think a Tampa game is out, there they come with the biggest scoring game. I was shocked that they had that many points last week. But and Baker's a never quit type of guy, that's definitely a game that could shoot out.
Vegas has this game at 47.5, right? So this might be the game in the afternoon that you need. I don't think, right, because there's only 3 games in the afternoon. Tennessee, Las Vegas, that's putrid. Cincinnati, Green Bay. I mean, don't you feel like Green Bay is just going to smother that ball and run it to death, and we're not going to see a high-scoring one?
You would think so. I mean, but then when you look at the Rams Niners game, it looks too easy to go over, doesn't it? It looks pretty easy. It looks like an easy over to me. But I think
Green Bay, the Rams Ravens. Yeah.
I mean, I've got so many games in my head. Yeah, the Niners and the Buccaneers.
We do want to know what's going on in your head. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at some running backs here. It feels like DraftKings is saying spend up at running back, get your few guys. How are you looking at it? Remember last week, there was a lot of value last week. there was a ton of cheap value. This week, is the cheapest, best guy Travion Henderson? Do we even trust him?
No, I'm not playing Travion Henderson because Stevenson can keep fumbling the ball and he's still going to get more of the snaps. So, no. And the Saints aren't that bad against running backs. From what I've seen.
Do we just pay up? I mean, is Dowdle the cheapest guy? Do you do a Quinshawn?
Dowdle's a guy. Dowdle's a guy I'm definitely interested in because he's still only, what do I see here, 5,300 or is that
5,800?
5,800. He's still a guy I'm interested in because it's against Dallas. But I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to pay all the way up for Taylor and CMC because CMC he's going to be involved in the passing game. And if all those receivers are back, maybe not as much as we think.
I don't think they're back, Trevor. I think Kittle and Pearsall are week 7 guys.
Okay. And Taylor's starting to get priced pretty high too. I think Genty is going to have a big week against Tennessee. And I think Josh Jacobs has 2 touchdowns.
Agreed.
He's almost a lock button. Josh Jacobs is almost a lock button play for me for Green Bay. I mean, I don't see any way he doesn't have 100 to 150 yards of offense and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he's going to run all over them. Green Bay is getting healthy. They've had a bye week. They're going to run right over the Bengals.
Couldn't agree more. So let's assume that Kittle and Pearsall are out. How many teams do you think will be Jacobs, McCaffrey? That's going to be popular.
It's going to be popular. It won't be popular for me because I'm going to take Genty over McCaffrey. It's because of the price savings, and there's some receivers that I need to get on board too, and I can't.
Okay.
Get them.
So with Dowdle and Jacobs, are they if Chuba Hubbard is out, Dowdle and Jacobs going to be overly popular?
That probably will be pretty popular.
Right.
I mean, I can't see where it won't, but that's the popularity I want to be on, I guess.
Right. So the question is where to differentiate. It's got to come somewhere. I mean, is it the cheap quarterback stack? I mean, is it because I've got to think that the Bryce Young to McMillan is going to be super popular, right? But
yeah,
right. Is there another one that's going to be as popular as Bryce Young to McMillan?
It's not. How about Lawrence to Brian Thomas Jr.?
That could be popular.
I mean, I don't
I've
think
got
it's
another Lawrence one. What if I told you Lawrence to Hunter Long could be popular? Brenton Strange is out.
Yeah, that's true too. Strange is out. He's on IR. So yeah, that could be a way to go too.
All right, let's take a look at receiver. You mentioned Puka. He's $1,000 more than anybody else. Is he worth every penny, or is this the one game that all of a sudden maybe Devontae Adams becomes more interesting?
Well, Adams is interesting, but Baltimore is so bad against the pass. Nakua is the first look. Nakua is $1,000 better than everybody on the slate. He's been that way all year, except for maybe JSN. But yeah, I have to have Nakua in a lot of my lineups. He's just 20. He's 20 points. You know he's going to get 20 points, and that's without even scoring a touchdown. He's 20 points.
Right. He's 10 for 100, and he hasn't done anything.
Right.
So, right, because when you look at that and you think about it, it's like 23 points. If he finds the end zone, he's at 29. Good luck getting that. Good luck finding that if you don't have him. Where do we get? You've got Chase, who's expensive in a bad matchup. JSN in a surprisingly bad matchup. Egbuka in a tough matchup.
Yeah, I'm going to try to avoid those guys. So you're going to have to find mid-level guys. You go with Chris Olave. Does he do good? I do like Kyron Williams this week. I do
too.
One of those Green Bay receivers is it going to be Dobbs? Is Golden finally going to get in the end zone? One of those receivers is going to pop. There's going to be a guy that from Green Bay, one of those receivers is going to score a touchdown.
I mean, look, I like Dobbs. I think Golden feels due. Doesn't Golden just feel due?
Yeah, he feels really due. And they're, like I said, they're coming up from bye. Pittman at 5,400. I mean, scored another touchdown last week. They didn't need to use him in the second half last week. And so he's becoming that player that's going to catch, 7-8 balls a game if they need him for a full game.
What about Marvin Harrison coming back to Indianapolis? In the first quarter, the dude had 73 yards, and then the worst offensive coordinator I think this guy, Shane Waldron and Drew Pretzig, are like equally terrible. How do you call some of these play calls were just abysmal? They stopped throwing the football.
Yeah, it was like they got that lead, and they did that earlier this year. I forget against who they had a big lead, and they almost blew it. Carolina, I think.
No, Arizona. I'm sorry, New Orleans.
Arizona did it against Carolina too.
Yeah,
and they almost blew that one because they're not good enough not to keep scoring, right. As we've seen. I mean, that was just a fluke game last week, but it's just terrible to watch Arizona play. It's
terrible. Do you want to? There was something I saw yesterday. It was on Twitter. Every starting quarterback in the NFL has a quarterback throwing mentor, coach type of guy, except for one. Do you know who the one guy is? Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray. How does this guy not have a quarterback guru that he's working with? Everybody else has a quarterback guru.
He'd be one of the top guys you would think that would need that. And I'm going to say this too. As long as we're talking about Arizona, I'm done playing McBride in DFS.
Oh yeah. Agreed. The only time you can play McBride, in my opinion, is when they're losing and they need these quick passes to come back, which is why I can see a world where McBride is good this week. But if they're ever winning,
I say that now. Come Sunday, I'll probably be clicking the McBride button on a few lineups just because they probably will be from behind. They're 7-point dogs.
Right. So it's 24-14 in the fourth quarter. Don't you see a million McBride? McBride.
Going to have to be. It's going to have to be. Now you caught me earlier this week, so when you think about the game plan, if they're going to be 7-point dogs and needing to come back, there's really nobody else to throw the ball to other than Harrison. Right. And I think Carter's okay running back. He's not a world beater by any means, and Mercado, I don't think he's going to see much of the field this week.
No, nor should he. But I think the public is it's an easy click to go to Jake Ferguson and save 200 because that's a dream matchup against Carolina. But I'm looking at McBride, and I don't disagree. If Arizona's winning, forget McBride. If they're losing, I think he's interesting.
Yeah, he's more interesting as a 7-point dog.
Yeah. All right, let's stay with the wide receiver again. Do you think that Quentin Johnston, Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, do you see the Chargers throwing more? Because I see them throwing a lot more.
They should be throwing a lot more, but there's two problems with the Chargers when they throw the football. I'm not blaming Herbert at all for that loss. He comes out, sack, holding, sack, holding, hold. They hold more than – they're always holding, legal procedure. And, they're forcing these second and third and longs. Herbert overcame that first drive in the second half. It was a sack right away. Then he throws for a first down, but there was a hold. Then he makes another big play, and then they were lined up wrong. So, but they should be throwing the football a ton. I mean, I can't imagine them, although who do you think is going to run the football for them? Do you think it's going to be Vidal?
Well, here's what's interesting. Haskins went to Michigan. Harbaugh went to Michigan. Vidal ran with Trey Lance in the second team. But in my mind, Vidal has more juice than Haskins. I don't look at Haskins and think this guy could take it to the house.
Yeah, Vidal can score from anywhere on the field.
He can. So if you're asking me, would I bid a lot of money on Haskins in free agent and fab? No. I want
for a DFS play to save money this week. Is any of them guys going to score 20 points?
No.
I don't think so.
No. How much? Let me see. How much is Haskins? Is 5,000 and Vidal's 5,000. I wouldn't touch.
Oh,
no
that's
way.
Way too much.
No way. I'd rather take Tootin for 4,900 in that game where they might be playing from behind.
Tootin showed up on the injury report again.
He's always been on the injury report every week, and then he's off.
Now, why is Vidal? Why are those guys 5,000? Here I was thinking they would be at close to mid price.
I know. I think it's crazy. All right, so any guys there? Chris Olave, Kendrick Bourne.
I know this ain't gonna be popular, but I'm coming back with Bond. Isaiah Bond. He had 7 targets last week. They were just a little bit off. I think that combination is going to improve as the season goes on. I think Bond's going to get better and better. So, if he can score a touchdown, if he can find a way into the end zone, he's going to be a steal at 3,700. I mean, you're taking chances, but this is a week where if you're paying up, you got to take chances somewhere.
Can I tell you a story? So
yeah.
Did you listen to the show on Sirius last week?
I listened to most of it. Yeah.
Okay. So do you remember the generational parlay? Isaiah Bond was part of it. His number was 28.5. Okay. He has one catch for 6 yards. On the last drive, one catch for 23 yards. He finished with 29 yards. How does Vegas do that? They had it within a half a yard, Trevor.
And the crazy thing though is he had 7 targets, and he was wide open on one that he was on. The quarterback was under pressure and just floated it high. Wide open.
He was wide open on those 7. He could have had 4 if the Gabriel was closer.
Yeah.
All right. What about Zay Flowers against the Rams, who are really bad against slot receivers?
I like Zay Flowers. I was telling people today that I think he's a buy candidate if you can get him in some type of trade, because he's just going to get better, especially when Lamar comes back. The guy gets open. He's always got that kind of like that 10 to 12 point floor. He's 5 catches for 50 yards, 60 yards, but he's starting to get a few more yards. Finds the end zone. He's a bargain too.
I ran a sim earlier. The sim like Josh Downs. I don't like Josh Downs. Is it the sim just looking at the money?
Downs and Ridley, and not Ridley, but Jacoby Myers. Sick of Jacoby Myers.
Oh, do you know last week he single-handedly lost people money? Single-handedly, because he was 7.3 points, and if you had him, you didn't cash.
Well, I don't blame Jacoby Myers necessarily. I blame the guy throwing the football.
Oh, he's terrible.
I mean, he's killing him. He's killing him. He's not even giving him a chance. I mean, and these interceptions are just terrible throws. Especially, he didn't lose in the game last week. They were going to lose even if he played pretty decent. He lost the week before against the Bears. I mean, he just single-handedly lost that game. But he didn't do any favors last week. And yeah, Myers. The Sims were all over Myers. They kind of talked me into Myers.
Trevor, that's my biggest problem with the Sims is that it gravitates towards certain players. And I find maybe I'm weak-minded in this respect. I'm like, well, the Sims know more than I do. Dude, the Sims didn't have Rashid Shaheed. I did.
Yeah, you did.
I wish I did.
You told me about Shaheed, and I wish I would have did that button where I click and say global swap. Shaheed for Myers, I would have probably won about 20,000.
My bigger point was not me, but it was about when I see the Sims, and I'm like, all right, if the Sims are running it 200,000 times and they must see Myers, what am I missing? So I end up going with the Sim, and I don't trust myself.
And then you think to yourself, if the Sims are right and you didn't use your Sims that you were using, you're like, boy, am I an idiot? Why am I using Sims?
Right. It's you can't win.
You know what I find. How I use the sim is I put in my own percentage of the players that I want most of the time. And I a lot of times avoid what the sims say. But sometimes at receiver, you got to find that mid-level guy, which Myers is. Swami, you're right. Myers, I don't know if Myers stinks. I think Geno stinks more.
Geno stinks. I think you're right. I think when you've got to find the guy between 4,400 and 5,800 and say, who's this week's guy? Is it DK Metcalf? I don't think people are going to want to click on Marvin Harrison. And I don't know whether they want to click on Olave after watching how New England played last week. I think those two guys are very much in play.
Well, I will say the DFS Heroes Simulator likes Olave this week, and I can see it because he's going to get a ton of targets.
Look, DFS Heroes right a whole ton. And by the way, if you use promo code DOC, you get 20% off. I mean, it's a great deal. But that their sims are right a ton.
Yeah. They've I've won a lot more money using them than not.
Exactly. That's why you use the sims, right? So
yeah, I can knock their Myers pick last week all I want, but they've helped me a ton in a lot of other situations. So
Trevor, if the sims screw us over 16 weeks, but on week 17 you won $1 million using them, you'd be like, I love sims.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Oh, so Isaac Kidd says this, but Isaac, I think you're wrong here. Olave against Gonzalez. I don't think Gonzalez shadows Olave. They move him around too much.
He'll be on Shaheed some too.
Yeah, agreed. Because and Olave is much smaller than Gonzalez. Gonzalez is much better on the outside. Olave, they move him everywhere. All right, let's get to tight ends. I know we talked about it a little bit. We started out with why McBride may be better than we think. Ferguson is a smash play. Can we play both McBride and Ferguson?
Sure. There's your mid-level flex guy. You know,
that's what I'm thinking.
Problem with him, you're just going to have to get those. You're going to have to run your team basically mid-level. If you're going to use that, you're going to have to. You're only be able to pay up for maybe one guy. But you know, the running backs I like, Jacobs and Gentry, they are not that expensive, so you can run them too and still find a way to get Naku in there. You're going to have to find a cheap receiver, which I'm going to use Bond maybe, and just you got to hope a little bit on some of these players and hope that you're.
How much is Bond? Bond is 37. Can I give you another guy that I like down there? What if I told you maybe this is a Malik Washington week?
No. I mean, you can play him. I see 4 catches for 0 yards.
Well, look, all I'm saying is this. Well, by the way, I like Hunter Long. I think that's a good punt play for 2,500. All right. Permar saying no. Here's why you guys may be wrong. Last week, it felt like they force-fed Waddle. They force-fed these guys. McDaniel has no idea what he's doing. They've got to figure out a way to get the ball to more guys. The Chargers play a lot of zone coverage. I think Washington, I'm not saying, look, I like Bond better. I do. I think Bond is a really smart play. I just worry about the Steelers' pass rush with Dylan Gabriel.
That scares me too. And you know exactly what I said on today's show. I says, I don't think the Miami Dolphins coach knows what he's doing.
No clue.
Yeah, I guess I'll probably play Malik Washington in a few lineups because he's going to be on the field.
Right.
And, you know, he finds the end zone somehow. You know, you got to take your chances. Like I said, you got to find that small price guy if you're going to pay up at running back and receiver.
Well, all right. So let's get back to tight end here.
Okay.
Are there mid tight ends? David Njoku, 3,500. That feels like a steal. I mean, Dylan Gabriel, he completed 16 passes, 9 went to his tight ends. Yeah. I mean, are we overlooking that? Because I don't think we should be.
No, I think he's going to keep using the tight ends because he's a rookie. The rookies usually rely on their tight ends, and it's hard for teams to cover 2 good tight ends at the same time. And you know, he's going to have to make shorter throws if Pittsburgh his pass rush is on too. So, you know, I think the one guy I'm not playing is Jerry Jeudy.
Ooh, please don't play Jerry Jeudy. Whatever you do in life.
So,
do you think Shedeur starts a game by week 10?
I don't know. I liked how Gabriel looked, but I mean, why not try and just see what he looks like? I mean,
what if he's good? What if he's good? Then you're stuck with him.
That's good. That's fine.
They don't want to be stuck with that guy. They don't want to be stuck with that guy. All right. Okay. I got a guy for you. Don't laugh at me. What about Taysom Hill? Taysom Hill has those weeks, Trevor, where he puts up 2 touchdowns. He's the guy you had to have in a $3,000 if he gives us that 20-point week.
He was in my article today for streamers to pick up a tight end, and I already started the article for DFS this week. He's in there. This is a game New Orleans might need a spark. When he came in the game, the crowd just went nuts.
Yeah.
They might need a spark down by the goal line. I could see him definitely running in a touchdown. Catching a touchdown. But can he get that 20? Can he get at 3,000? Can he get 13 plus points? I think he can.
Yes. Yeah.
If he finds the end zone, yes.
Yeah.
I think you're wrong about Travion. And I'm going to tell you why. On the carpet, and New Orleans plays fast. New Orleans plays fast, and that just makes more plays. Does that make the Patriots interesting?
It makes them a little bit interesting. I like Drake May, and I like Diggs. You're probably not going to agree with me, but I think besides fumbling, I think Ramondre Stevenson just looks better.
He looks pretty good. He just can't hold on to the football. I mean, it's a problem, but he looks good.
So with the split backfield, I'm just not that interested. Even, I just can't trust. There's so many good running backs on this slate that I just can't get to Henderson.
I agree. All right, let me ask you this question. It feels to me that each week defense is the way you win your big money. If you find the defense that scores a touchdown, and if they score 2 like Minnesota did a few weeks ago, you're winning money. There's no way you're not winning money unless your team implodes. Is there a team this week that you're like, you know what? This team could do it this week?
Well, Green Bay is just too easy. Green Bay looks too easy. Plus, they're priced up. You're going to have a lot of cheaper players if you're playing their defense, even though I like their defense. I'm looking at the bottom defenses now. Does Dallas – I think Carolina's defense is better than people think. And I know Dallas has had a couple of good weeks, but they've had some implosions. Dak's can throw a pick six every once in a while. I think the Panthers at 2,300 might be a team that I'm interested in, because we got to think about this too. Dallas has been in a bunch of overs games. They usually start to go under here pretty quick. So I think that the Panthers might be a good, especially if the Panthers can run the football on them. They can keep.
I like it. I like it.
I don't think the Titans.
I kind of like the Titans a little bit. Am I wrong?
The Titans?
Yeah.
Maybe they just look so bad. That was such a fluke last week against the Cardinals. I mean, the snap off the helmet, an interception that he fumbled into the end zone, and Tennessee jumps on top of it. DeMarcar. I don't know. The Browns. The Browns defense. They're 2,500. I mean,
do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to make any bad plays?
Yeah, he could. He could take some sacks. He'll throw the ball around. He did last year. I mean,
I think the key is I want a touchdown. I want a touchdown, and I'm trying to find who's going to.
If you had to make me pick one defense that's going to get a touchdown, it would be the Packers. But the Rams, I don't know.
What about the Colts?
This is why they do this. They make you play defenses in these DFS tournaments so that you differentiate so much.
Right.
So that everybody's not having the same lineup. That's why they want you. That's why they, last year, FanDuel, before the DFS season started, they put a poll. Should we pull defenses and add more flexes? And I voted for it, flex, maybe, but they came back with it. I thought, maybe they're thinking about getting rid of the defenses and adding more flexes, which would be great. But because then you're in more control. When you're picking these defenses, luck's involved in a lot of this, but there's no, I don't know. The defense just seems so fluky a lot of times.
And look, I don't want to lose because Minnesota had 30 points.
Right. Yeah, when I'm picking all these, sweating and picking up all these other players, and you come up with a Woody Marks, and then you get a crud defense scores 3 touchdowns and kills you.
Well, one week I had a great team, but I had the Raiders defense, and they had -1 that week.
I think I was with you.
Right. Oh, Isaac said, I think the Colts are interesting, and he said they're nicely priced on FanDuel. Here's why I like the Colts, Trevor. I don't like Kyler Murray with a pass rush. He always goes to the ground. He takes dumb risks, especially if they're behind. He's just throwing it. Stupid things happen. They're playing in a dome. I don't know. It just feels like maybe I can get a couple of sacks. I can get a pick. I could get a fumble. I can get an interception return. I could get something.
Yeah, and the Colts defense is pretty good, and they've been taking the ball away.
They have been. Not like Jacksonville. Man, that team takes everything away. That's crazy.
Everybody was talking about, they were still talking about how their defense stinks. And I'm like, their defense isn't that bad. There was some wide open receivers for Kansas City, but that's just going to happen playing them. But they played a lot better defense than anybody gives them credit for.
Do you know how many takeaways the Jets have?
Probably none.
None. How is it possible to go through 5 weeks and not have one takeaway? That's
Can't even
terrible.
cause a fumble. I don't know. And I just don't know if that coaching move was that good.
It's terrible. Look, Robert Saleh was not the reason why the Jets were losing. The Jets were losing because they're poorly owned, mismanaged. Saleh is fine. He's better than Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn has no clue what he's doing. There are a lot of bad head coaches out there. Jonathan Gannon, I mean, look, DeMercado was a moron. But you know when it's like, say that stuff back in the locker room. Don't do it on the field like that. That was dumb.
Yeah, he had to come up with an apology. And he runs the ship. You got to be – don't shut down your offense just because you're up 21-3 or 21-6. You keep going. Right. McDaniel doesn't know what he's doing. Sometimes a guy from Texans, I don't think.
Can I argue who also doesn't know what he's doing? Sean McVay. You're moving the ball, and on 4th and 1, you decide to run the football. You get conservative the worst times. The worst times.
Yeah, he got a lot of heat for his calls.
Because his calls, look, sometimes he's great, and then sometimes, like on the calls where you don't expect it, he's great, and the calls where you expect it, they're bad. So, all right, Trevor, let me ask you this before we get out of here. You want to give me a team? You want to come up with a quick, lineup today?
Well, sure, we can do a lineup today. I really haven't done any lineups, but I was just looking at doing one because I'm in the Danger League. So, running backs, I'm going to go with Genty and Jacobs. So I'm going to try to
Jacobs. Okay. Who else?
I'm going to try to put Payne up. I'm going to go with. Boy, do we go with Nakua, or do we think this is going to be an Adams?
Do you want Rico Dowdle or not?
Yeah, I can put him in my flex.
Right. All right. I think it's an Adams week, but you can have either, whoever you want.
Technically, I would put Jacobs in my flex, but because it's a late game, but since I'm doing this on the fly right now. So defense, I'm just going to go all the way down to the Panthers to start with because I know they're cheap.
Okay.
But it doesn't leave me a whole lot of money for the rest of it if I use Nakua. Wow. I really don't, when you look at this overall team that I'm trying to simulate, I really don't. It's tough.
Godwin's questionable. Otherwise, everybody be rich.
So yeah, I had to go with. I went with Dylan Gabriel, but that doesn't feel right.
You know why?
Because it's not right.
Yeah.
So if I go Jacobs, Genty, even with Bond and Nakua, and I go Ferguson, Dowdle, and the Panthers, I still only have 5,000 between.
All right, so let me get Bond in there because I know you like him. Let me get Ferguson in there because I know you like him. So right now, you have about 6,200 for a quarterback and 2 receivers.
Yeah, I've used Nakua, Bond, and
all right, get Nakua. So now you're at 5,000 for a quarterback and a receiver.
Yeah, this is going to make it really, really tough. So I don't like using Young with Dowdle. I don't like that combination because for Young to be good, you really like to have his legs. But I'm going to put Dobbs in my lineup.
All right. So we got Romeo Dobbs in there. That gives you 4,800.
How high are you on Genty? Are you as high on him as I am?
I like him.
Or do we remove Genty and put Dowdle in the running back spot?
All right. So let me move Dowdle there.
Then we do the flex, and we will put in the tight end McBride.
Now you're talking. So now you have 6,200 for a quarterback. You want Danny Dimes? Drake May?
No. You like Drake? Here's McBride, Ferguson, Nakua, Dobbs, Bond, Jacobs.
You want Jordan Love?
Do you think Love will? I'll do Love for now. I just worry.
Look, I'm not holding to this. So we have Love, Jacobs, Dowdle, Puka, Dobbs, Bond, Ferguson, McBride, Carolina.
Yeah,
it's not terrible.
Yeah. Or there's a lot of ways to do it, but for now, this is the lineup I come up with. I'd much rather
something different. I'm going to go.
Just wondering how you get to Stafford.
Well, here's what I'm going to do, something a little cray-cray. So work with me. I don't know whether I think I'm going to do it this way. I like this guy a lot this week.
Who do you like it? I'm going to need a pen click these guys.
you may want to pen click these guys. I think I am. Ooh, I can get up to here. Ooh, interesting. All right, ready?
Yeah.
This is my first pass, but I don't think I'm going to go 2 tight ends, Trevor. I think I'm going to go 1. And let me show you why, because I'm going to be a little crazy here. Oh, yes. This is the winning lineup. I believe it. I just need a receiver. I don't have one. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Joe Flacco, Josh Jacobs, Rico Dowdle, Devontae Adams, Marvin Harrison. I'm going to say, what's his face for now? Chris Olave, but I can't afford him. Trey McBride, Christian McCaffrey. Maybe I take out Marvin Harrison and I get for 4,900, maybe Trey Tucker. Something like that. Or Dobbs. And I get McCaffrey, Jacobs, and I get Adams in there and not Puka.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'll have a lot of lineups that don't have Nakua that do have Adams. I think you have to have one of those guys, and I'm going to make a ton of lineups, and I'm going to split it down the middle. I'm going to have half on Adams, half on Nakua, and then there'll be a couple that have them both with Stafford.
Agreed.
And I'm going to have to try to find it cheap elsewhere. This is why it's hard to win.
It is. My original lineup was, I do like Trevor Lawrence, by the way, Isaac. I like Trevor Lawrence. I could do that.
Yeah.
Because I think Seattle, I don't know, you got to come to the East Coast. It's not easy to do that. But do you think Jacksonville wins after an emotional victory on Monday? I don't know.
I think Seattle's – I said it earlier, I think Seattle comes in and wins.
I think so, too.
Seattle's pretty tough. Who's the corner they have there? Is it Witherspoon?
Witherspoon. And
he was hurt last week. I didn't – I should have known that.
And
then
Reek Woolen may be back.
What's that?
Reek Woolen. I think he's going to be back at some point. I like the Flacco Jacobs match right there. I do. Because I figure I'm getting Flacco on the dirt cheap on a good offense. Maybe I get 240 and 2 at $4,000. I don't care.
Right. My problem with that, if you're going to play Flacco, I think you have to pair him with a receiver. But he is at 4,000. Maybe you don't have to because he's at mid price.
What about what Swami's thinking? Do you go with Cooper Rush? Interesting. Because the Rams are winning this game, right?
Well, here's the thing, too, about the Rams. And we have to look at this. We were just talking about McVay and his coaching. If they get a lead, if they're up by 2 touchdowns, they take the air out of the football.
I always do. They're always do.
That's what cost them against Philadelphia. They got ultra conservative about 3 touchdowns. So you could see an underperforming game. They get up, maybe it's 17-3 at halftime, and they just run the third quarter out. So Kyron might be a great play. Somebody on that team is going to be in the winning lineups. I'm sure of it. Somebody from Green Bay is going to be in the winning lineups. I'm pretty sure of that. We just don't. Green Bay is so.
This feels like a week that I need to have Trevor's 150 lineups.
Well, I'm doing them by hand this week.
Why?
Because I want to pair it the way I want to pair it a little bit different. Because when you do an optimizer, they kind of just run it out there, and sometimes people get squished together. Maybe I need to email Tom and figure out a different way on how to round robin some of these guys. And if my lineup is $1,000 underpriced, I don't care. I just want to have that randomness of 3 teams. I don't care what 3 receivers. I just don't like last week with Jacoby Myers. I ran him in a bunch of lineups, and they want to put him in the first 50, no matter what. And I
like what you're saying. It's like Adams, Nakua, Kyron, right? I want to have 4 different lineups where I'm hitting everything.
Yeah, and not just the randomness of the optimizer will give you 4 in one team. I know you can put it down to 3 and 2 players, but I'll have to fiddle with it. I got a lot of time off after tomorrow, so I'm gonna have to really dive into the optimizer and try to get even more of it, because I learn new things about the optimizer every time I'm into it.
I don't know a third about optimizers. I mean, Tom's a good friend of mine. DFS Hero is a great site. I love their optimizer. I love their sims. I feel like I know like 30% of what I need to. People are always putting their rules in. You ever listen to like Utica Cow and all these guys, and they're putting in their own nerdy tenor? Like they have specific rules in there. I'm like, I just do it by hand. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So let's tell you what happens. Friday night, the Swami, Willie Walls, and I will do some Friday Night Lights together. On Saturday morning, Sirius XM, Fantasy Sports Radio from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern. And then Sunday, come to our Discord from 10:30 to about noon in the morning. We'll answer all your questions. So that's what we're doing over at drroto.com. Trevor, enjoy your days off.
Yeah. And Saturday night, we might do the late entry show.
Oh, yeah. That show is fantastic, right? The show with Danger and you and Justin. It's great. It's great. So please tune in for that. All right. For Trevor, this is Dr. Roto saying be well and take care.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.